You might have noticed that this whole methodology is a process of fleshing out your idea so you see what's in it, and then cutting it down to size, and then taking that cut down version and expanding it, and then cutting that down to size. This final step is where we get rid of all of the nice to haves in your MVPs, see if what's left over is actually worth building, and put it into a document format that we can share with a technology geek.
That document is going to be something you can take to a software developer or a digital studio and get a more comprehensive quote.
What we're going to do is get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. You can do this one of two ways. You can do it with your objects, users, and interfaces, at which point go through it in a very cold and clinical way and see what stuff you can get rid of. A great example is user accounts. So our plant bio user has a first name, a last name, an email address, a location, and a photo. Do we actually need their photo for the app to exist? Probably not. And actually, managing photos in an app is a whole bunch of functionality, so let's kill it. You could be even more brutal and say we don't need a first or last name of the user to exist for the app to work. So maybe we'll get rid of that. Deciding what to get rid of and what not is kind of up to you. The second way to do this is to go back through your UX map and just rub out entire steps. So in our user flow, we had this thing where people would register and create an account before they continued. What if we could have an app that just had no user registration whatsoever? That would get rid of entire chunks of the app. So just go through and start rubbing out chunks that you think the app could survive without. The most valuable question you can ask yourself is, will my app exist without this functionality?
Link together what's left and see if it still looks like an app. You might be surprised at just how simple things could be. Now this is scary because whole chunks of functionality will disappear and we'll feel like we're losing the app. Now, emotionally, this is the most difficult part for most people. Getting rid of things is hard, especially if you feel like you need all of these bells and whistles for the app to work at all.
Usually by this point, there are like three main outcomes for you as a person. One, you've cut down your idea so much that you realize it's no good at all. You know, we might find that our plant idea is terrible because there's already Facebook groups for people to buy and sell plants. In that case, at least it only took us half a day and some butcher's paper to figure that out. The second thing that might happen is once you've cut down your idea to the one thing that makes it unique, you've got a small, cheap, simple thing that you can go and execute. And then based on user feedback and learning what actually works, you can take that bit of uniqueness and find where it takes you. Get into the mindset of continuous iterative development. So we're not going to build a car over 1 billion years, we're going to build a scooter and get it out to market and see what people think. And they're going to tell us, actually I want it to be smaller, not bigger, so we're going to build them some roller skates. And then we find out they want to have really fast roller skates, so we put rocket boosters on them. And before you know it, you've got users flying around with jetpacks and rocket boots, which is something none of us ever expected. The third thing that happens is that you've thought much more systematically about an organization that uses technology. And that's going to be valuable not just for this idea, but for every other idea that your organization puts into the world. Becoming a little bit more fluent in how systems work and the language and how it all fits together is a great way of taking care of the technology people that you work with. They're going to respect you more because they know that you've invested in their way of thinking. You're going to spend less time debating functionality, and in the end you're going to waste less money because every single minute a coder is trying to figure out what the hell you mean is a minute they could be writing the code.
It's a process of getting rid of all of our assumptions and guesses, because building guesses is very expensive. Building things that users actually want is valuable.
Tinder was as simple as swipe left and swipe right. You know, it's so simple that somebody who's never used it could explain it to someone else. If your idea isn't so simple that somebody can explain it to their friend without even seeing it, it's probably going to be really hard to build in the first place. In many ways, this methodology is a process of letting go. Letting go of your big crazy idea in its finished form and starting on the first day. It's about letting go of assumptions about what you users may or may not want and instead listening to what they want. And often this process takes you in a direction you've never expected, but that's good because it means that you're focusing on having an app that solves a problem. And that's the right way to build technology.